I told you, you were doing it in New York, and I was like, this is cute, but it won't last.
It's a no.
Yeah.
It's a no for me.
I did it for the full 6 months.
Are you serious?
You brush and floss every time?
Why
Water
did you do
pick,
that?
but yeah.
I feel like that's
Oh, I just wanted
I
to
can
get
see
it out.
that. I can see that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
My husband uses those placards things like all of it.
So I use
He
those
loves
now.
things.
So the water pick is really good for like a light, like clean, but the placker is like we just ate corn, right?
Right.
Like I would use one right now.
I do like this one. Right.
I have floss if anyone wants some.
I do too.
Floss is good for you.
Very good for you.
Okay, so this is a half-half. And this is a kind of a wind down message. I tried to make the evenings starting to get you into a space where you can fall asleep easier. So this is something that I do every night anyways. And it's our intro to breath work. So I'm gonna teach diaphragmatic breath, but I'm also going to teach it out there too. So I want to teach you the bones of it and why it makes sense to incorporate in your life on a scientific level. I'm a big nerd college dropout because I didn't want a neuroscience degree. And if I went back, that's what I would get. So if you want to look at the diagram, it might be helpful. It's like the very first, it's on page 4. So when we're talking about the diaphragm sits, you can feel where your ribs come apart. You can feel it over your shirt too, but I'd like to show. Your diaphragm sits right there. Feels like a rubber band. And if you think about it, it's kind of like this is all solid, but it's thin like this. And it sits right here under the lungs. What's cool is when you breathe air in, it fills up, but it's a muscle. So you can flex the muscle and then slow and controlled put it back into place when you exhale. You hear my guts move? And so that's the muscle. Most people, when you say take a big deep breath, they go,
That's what I do.
it's all right here.
Yeah.
This is, if we were cavemen and a tiger is chasing me, I would be breathing like this to run away from the tiger. And when we breathe like that in our regular lives, it sends hormones through our body that make us feel like we are running away from the tiger. So breathing into your belly, you're gonna hear my guts move, we all eat food. It fascinates me because you can hear when I do that, my rib cage comes together. I create space up here and down here for the air to go. And when we think about why breath work, if you're a client, I always try to give you the whys because I'm an overthinker and I'm also a questioner. You really gotta sell me on it for me to do it. So I'm always gonna try to give you a why this makes sense to me. And when it comes to breath, I don't know why it isn't taught, but I was a singer, so it was sort of taught to me. And it's the only reason I'm good at it. So go into this knowing, perfectionists, probably not gonna be good at this if you're doing it for the first time ever. It's gonna take a long time. But you have a sympathetic nervous system and a parasympathetic nervous system. If this matters to you, none of it's in here. This would be a note. Parasympathetic and sympathetic. Sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight. That's your lizard brain. So if you've heard of the lizard brain, the reptilian brain, the rat brain, it is sometimes called that. It's your fight or flight mode. It's your runaway, stay alive mode. And it's nicknamed fight or flight because it's all about survival. Your fight or flight part of your brain is only to keep you alive. And so when you think about it like that, there's a checks and balances between your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. Your parasympathetic nervous system is in the part of the brain that fires off the nicknamed feed and breed, or rest and digest. Because your parasympathetic nervous system controls a lot of your autoimmune, your hormones, your digestion, a lot of your mental health in terms of cognitive function, those parts of the brain that are lighting up, your appetite, and your reproductive health is all done by your parasympathetic nervous system. The catch is, if a lion is chasing you, you don't have time to digest your food, you're running away. So if your brain is operating in the sympathetic nervous system, digestion, reproductive health, hormones take a back seat. They don't get first dibs in your brain. It doesn't make sense to keep you alive. That's why it's the rest and digest. It's the rest part of your brain. What's interesting about the breath, breathing a belly breath flips a light switch in your brain. Just for 30 seconds of belly breathing, turns your brain from panic, freak out, to let's chill the fuck out. And you can do that like a light switch with your breath. I was in the car the other day. I almost got run off the road. There's a curb here. I literally can't go anywhere else, and I'm driving someone else's car. My whole body, you felt it when you know you're about to get hit. And I didn't, but it doesn't change the state that my body's in. And now I can breathe deeply while I'm driving. I can do 30 seconds of breath, and I can calm my body. Because I can feel now, like I think I live so much in my parasympathetic nervous system that I can literally feel adrenaline, cortisol, like shooting through my veins because I'm so out of it, but I used to live there. My period was fucked up, my sleep was fucked up, my digestion was fucked up. Like, those things aren't a priority when your brain thinks it's in survival mode. And so the idea of breathing is to remind your body we're safe. We're not surviving, we're thriving, we're living, we're okay. And that's the magic of what the breath can do. So that's the biggest why. Second biggest why would be what it does for the skeletal body, what it does for the longevity of your body. When you support the breath properly, you saw what happened. I went from having, if I'm breathing, you see my ribs flare out. When my ribs flare out, I put the load in my back. So if I'm living here, I'm putting a lot of tension here, but you even know my posture. You can see when I'm not thinking about it, my subconscious, unconscious posture sucks. I have scoliosis. We all did this at a desk, and then probably a desk. After school, we went to jobs and we do this. And when I live like this and like this, I'm putting a lot of pressure in my back. Not if you have back pain, a lot of us. And I'm putting a lot of tension here. When I breathe with my belly, I have core all the way down here. Moms or gonna be moms. There's core all the way down here. You learned that when you gave birth. And there's core that goes all the way up to here. It's all, we think about a 6-pack, but we just heard this, it's really a 24-pack. Like your whole core exists, and it goes up the whole front of your body. It's meant to support you. When I exhale, my ribs can come together. When my ribs come together, it can lock with my pelvis to support my body. Your bone structure is designed to support your organs, but we haven't evolved beyond technology. Technology evolved better than us. And so our bodies are made for walking. And so that's how our bone structure should be. We've cramped our bodies our whole lives, and then our bones don't support our organs. And then we have really bad muscular degenerative diseases and bone osteoporosis and things like that. But your bone health supports your organs. And then if you can consciously put your bones in the right spot, you'll eventually have muscles that support where your bones are. And that protects the longevity of you and you not being everyone's old grandmother that's like full hunch. That was my Nana. Like, I saw that. And I've gained height since I've started doing the workouts that I do, but they're all surrounded on belly breathing. Belly breathing is the core of being able to trickle down into the rest of your life and your posture and things like that. So your pain and everything comes back to breath. You don't want to admit that. It sounds a lot sexier to think like, I'm gonna get biceps and abs and that'll make my pain go away. It doesn't. It makes you strong, but you're not gonna properly support your body if you're not breathing the right way. It's not very sexy, but it's what keeps you alive the longest. Breathing in a way that supports your skeletal frame, that supports your organs. That's a pretty good number 2. And then the third reason why we breathe this way is because it creates a new normal for your self-regulation. That homeostasis of always living in panic, the more I practice this, the more I can go into it as a reflex. It doesn't feel as forced the more you do this, and you can create a new normal to where before I didn't even know that I was living in panic mode, pumping cortisol. Every time somebody cut me off, more adrenals getting shot. Now I feel it, and I'm like, oh fuck, I better calm down. I have serious, I can't have a temper right now. I need to chill, because I can feel it happening, and I couldn't feel it before. And now I notice it. Eventually, I won't go there, because I'll know what it does to my body. It's a process. But eventually you create a new normal and you can self-regulate in a way that feels like you're creating a good environment within yourself, a healthy environment within yourself. Think like, probably the closest would be like when you nail the first day of a diet and you're like, all right, I did 40 of everything, I checked everything off my checklist, I went to the gym, drank my green juice. That feeling is how you feel, but all the time, and it's just because you're able to self-regulate. You can change how you feel like a switch. So how? It's gonna be in there. This is just a quick, I wanted you to see and understand. In your thing, you'll have an exercise you can try later, but we're gonna experiment with it now. So find your mat. I'm gonna lay mine out. Oh, and the last thing I should say is, with everything we do, this is all being curious. Like I said, it's all data that you can collect. You learn more information. You might be really bad at something and it shows you something. So go into these exercises with curiosity and no judgment. It's really easy to feel like I'm not doing this right, so sad, negative emotions, because I'm not doing it well. I'm not doing it right doesn't have to be negative, it can be positive. You can still do this, just sit on the floor. If you're still doing something hard, you'll see it on the floor most of the time, so it's easier to correct your posture on the floor, on a chair. But something hard generally gives your sit bones somewhere to go. Sit bones are like, not your tailbone, but the bones at the end of your femur. And you want them to have somewhere to